All right, guys, listener questions, listener Q&A, episode 18 for J&A.
J&A.
For Ja. This is me and you. I'm on top.
Usually.
Sometimes the bottom, though.
Sometimes on the bottom.
Derek Olson. When your employees are sewing, do you have a more difficult items go to certain people to sew so they don't get Absolutely, we do. This happens at my work, and I'm always the one that is working on the most difficult orders that require the skill and experience to not make a mistake. Thanks for your members' videos. I really enjoy them. So, yes, absolutely. But most of our people are pretty good. Like, we have some that we just know no matter what. You could stand there and watch them. They could do it. You can be like, okay, now demonstrate it. They can do it. But when you walk away, they're going to just fucking do it wrong. And I don't know where the disconnect is with them. Most of our people, though, they can just do whatever. So my question to you would be, since you are the guy doing the technical, difficult stuff, does it look like you have less done at the end of the day? Or are they aware of what you're doing and you're compensated accordingly for that? Our people here who sew better make significantly more money than the people that don't. And we actually have that conversation. Look, you're capable of doing this, whatever your disconnect is. I don't know if you're paying attention to something else or you're using the wrong chemicals. I don't care what the problem is. The day that you do better and you can continually do better, I will pay you significantly more money as you become more valuable. With that said, once you achieve that level, that is what is expected. And when you revert from that level, I will also take away a pay raise. But you have the capability to make a lot more money than you're making here. Like, I have people working here getting paid twice what people who have worked here considerably longer from them than them make. So it's just, and we know what's going on. Like, we're not a huge shop. Like, I am out there literally sewing, like, we'll call it the trenches or whatever. It's the most comfortable sweatshop in the world. But I'm out there sewing. If they're here 8 hours, I'm working 6 hours. Like, I am constantly out there with them, right? All the time.
And from almost any place in the shop, you can see the sewing bay. I mean, you know who's working and who's fucking around.
Yeah,
like, you can see it.
There's times when I'll come inside and I'm like, you hear that? And they'll be like, what?
Not a machine
I'm like,
running.
there's not a fucking sewing machine running. What's up? What do you need from me? Where is the disconnect? Brian Frazier says, Miss Amanda, would you be cool with an old World War II Willys Jeep? We know your love for Jeep truck mall crawlers.
So the answer is yes.
Bullshit. There's no heat.
As long as I don't have to drive it.
That's what Dana has. Like Dana Lynn Bailey's Jeep is an old Willys like that.
Yeah. So the Willys are cool. They're proportionate, right? Like, they were purpose built like that. They didn't try to take a cart and the front end of a car and put it together, right? It was just it was built that way. Whereas the Jeep truck, you have the front end of a Jeep and a quarter of a truck bed, and they just look stupid. And you can't carry anything in it either.
That's what I was going to ask. What if you had a full-size truck bed on that?
That would look even worse.
Yeah, but would you want to use it?
No.
Okay.
If you're gonna have a Willys truck, cool, whatever, you're driving 45 miles an hour down the road. Scully had M151s. He still has them. Jeff would drive, for you guys that know San Diego area in California, San Onofre. Past San Onofre was San Clemente. I believe it was past there. Jeff lived off San Clemente. He would get on the interstate in an M151 and drive to my mom's house in Tierra Santa. It would take him, that should have been a 45-minute drive. That would take him 2 hours. And he literally would burn up the gear set in the truck. So he was constantly having to work on the truck because he would drive it on the interstate. If I was going to buy a vehicle like that, I would not buy that. And I mean, I don't know what an M15, and a Willys is a little different than an M151. But for either of those vehicles, a fucking Razor is way more capable than those. I mean, we run our Razors, and you can put some money into a Razor and make it a completely different animal. I mean, they're running these things 100 miles an hour in Baja. Ours runs 75 before it hits the governor and locks out. Like, I have license plates on mine. I can run them down the road. They'll do every bit of 75, depending on the size wheel combo we have on them at the time. But you can put a more road-worthy tire on those things. And then we have aftermarket suspension kits. Like the 2-seat Razor, I've probably got another $20,000 in suspension. But that's legit, take it to King of Hammers kind of suspension, to where you need to
up the side of a wall
and go 75 miles an hour while doing it. You need to reinforce, like, so when you put better suspension in, your weak point is the frame. So they're running purpose-built frames. They'll run a 4-seat car, which gives you unfair advantage depending on the class you're racing, because it's more stable because it's a wider wheelbase. But you're going to put your fuel cell back there, and now they've got fuel cells that fill the footwell in the compartment for the passengers. You can overland those things, and then there's some question, depending on municipalities and states, as to where you can or cannot run them. But, like, every now and then you'll get a dude in town, a police officer that's like, you can't run this thing. You know, it'll be a trooper or whatever. But, I mean, Franklin, Tennessee, some of the most, probably the most expensive property in Tennessee, there's people running those around every day. Like, you go to Gatlinburg, you can rent those things. People use them. There's dudes here that drive them to Walmart to work.
Every time it snows here, there is a guy who drives his Razor to work at Walmart.
Well, every time it snows, everything's out. Like, people don't work here when it snows. You go to Court Square, there'll be 20 dudes doing donuts at the courthouse. And then when you look at, like, and the Razor is a very different animal than the Ranger.
Yeah.
But Homeland Security ran the Rangers for decades now, and that North Star, now they're expensive. You can buy a Toyota truck for what these things cost, but they've got power windows, they've got glass windshield, wiper blades, heat and air that actually works. They'll do 70 miles an hour.
That's what I would prefer to drive in the snow if I was going to drive.
But you're not going to jump those with the Razor. I mean, we jump over trucks and shit with the Razors. And then again, money. Like, you send those cars off to, like, Sand Cars Unlimited or somebody, and they build a windshield frame with real glass and real windshield wipers, and it's just money. But, I mean, and I know that's not what you asked, but I know a lot more about the Razors than I do the other stuff. I know Rob loves the those X3s. Who makes those things? Not Polaris. It's not a Polaris Ranger. It is a Can-Am.
That's what I was going to say was Can-Am. I think he's got a bunch of that stuff.
Polaris, what's up, guys? You need to catch up, because those Can-Ams look cooler.
As long as it's not orange.
The thing that interests me about the old stuff, which is just a rumor, but like all those old soldiers.
No, it's true.
What do you think I was going to say?
EMP?
No, I was going to say that they run off of anything that burns. Like, you can just throw anything in the tank and let it go.
Probably. I recently watched a video that were maybe reenactment guys, like a World War II kind of thing. They were in a parade, but they drive up in this Jeep. They get out and literally disassemble the Jeep.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
And then put it back together, and the Jeep has everything is built in to where it's all modular. They literally disassembled this entire Jeep, so you could ship it in anything.
Yeah.
But it would run. Because it's all mechanical, those old Willys and stuff, there's nothing that's going to fry in that thing. Whereas all of our stuff, it's all fuel injected, and, you know, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, so that would be a consideration if, like, I wouldn't drive it for fun, but it might be something to have around just in case.
And all you EMP guys that are like, well, I got the extra parts, you know, I'll just change them out. You better have those parts shielded, because my understanding is the parts just sitting there will also fry. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to have something that will run
EMP shield.
Yes, EMP Shield is sponsoring this episode. EMP Shield actually is a sponsor. And if you don't know what that is, check it out. And if you're like, well, how would we test it? We haven't ever had EMP. They'll protect you for like $25,000 against lightning strike also. So just look at that. Maybe the other's a bonus if you don't believe. But it'll get you $50 off your order if you use code SOE. Is that what you were going to say?
Yes.
Tell them.
Use code SOE for $50 off.
Give me your phone sex voice.
That is my phone
That's
sex.
your phone sex? No wonder you're not making... You better up your phone sex voice.
I don't know. I
recently
couldn't even
found
do
out
that.
that's still a thing.
Of course it's still a thing.
I saw some girl on YouTube talking about how she's a phone sex operator. Like, how is, like...
Well, I'll bet she says that, but I'll bet it's like just voice over internet protocol, but it's probably audio also.
Yeah, so I don't think it's video. I think it's just audio. So like you're right about voice over IP, but like who's calling?
Yeah,
so she's really like, yeah, I'm licking your balls, but she's eating spaghetti at the same time,
stirring macaroni and cheese.
Brian Fraser also, John and Amanda. If you moved to Tennessee over again, would you rather start with compound or way it went with kids being in neighborhood? Would you have homeschooled? Yes, we absolutely would homeschooled. And to do it over again, it wasn't on the radar, right? The day I bought this building and this property was not on the radar. It just happened the gates were opened. Mm-hmm. And when I messaged Amanda, hey, I'm buying this property, I didn't have in my head how I was going to buy the property. The lady said 190 or 180,000. And I'm like, I'll give you 120. I didn't have $120, much less $120,000. But it's the action, right? We shot a video earlier about just inaction. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing with your time? So often people spend time just doing shit, but it's not getting them forward, right? And the people, I don't remember who I saw. Somebody I know was saying, guys that do shit, they just do it quickly. That's the difference, right? They actually do it. If you take time to think about it, you take time to figure it out, you're never going to do it. And that's, I'm talking, we're building these multicam black and Arid and Alpine handles for gym equipment, right? So you've got your grips and the webbing is all multicam black. It's fucking badass. And Brandel came in and he goes, hey, do you have those yet? And I go, no, I haven't. He's like, that's not like you, man. I thought you'd have those already. Like I was going to shoot video of these today. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. I am fucking lagging on this. And then but that's the thing. Most people don't act. Had I stopped and thought about it, I, in the same conversation, would have talked myself out of doing it. Do you remember when I messaged, what you're like, what are we going to do? You never said, how are we going to buy it?
No, I said, what are we going to do with it, with the building specifically? Right. And his answer was, we're going to ride four-wheelers in there.
Is that what I said?
That's what you said. And I was like, the fuck we are.
It's big. Like, you totally could have rode four-wheelers.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It was like a cowboy barn up in there.
It was very interesting to see, because it sat empty for so long, but there was still remnants of like the bar and the club. Mm-hmm. And
it wasn't remnants. The whole fucking thing was there.
It's weird. I've seen the videos. And it's weird because like you could kind of see where things used to be, like being the way it is now.
Yeah.
But it was like so compartmentalized and
it really
away.
Was.
Like it looks like a completely
and there was like 4 or 5 little rooms. Yeah. But they didn't have anything in them. They were just rooms with doors.
Well, they were like off of a bar, so
it was changing rooms. It was like manager office, cashier's room.
Yeah, just weird.
Because everything would have been cash back then.
Yeah.
And then there was a DJ booth, and the walls were covered in carpet.
Up top, yeah, there was like a little VIP room. But even filming that, like the first, even 10 times being here, like the 10th video we shot, we were still finding things that we didn't know. Like when we first came on the property, like you couldn't walk out the back door. You couldn't walk 5 feet, much less 500 feet. So as we started cutting things down, and even when we started ripping the guts out of the building, all the cowboy barn shit, we found a whole room that had no access. It was closed off. Like they had just forgotten it.
Yeah.
So it was cool. So yeah, definitely compound. When you have your own stuff and you can just maneuver in a different way. When you have no codes or zoning, you can do things very differently. Living in the city, there's always somebody telling you what you can or cannot do, trying to. And the thing is, you can always do whatever you want to do. It's just how much money you have to pay to do it. Everything is legal for a fee. So if you don't have money, they're all over dudes about you can't do this and there's no way to do it. And most of the time when you're operating in that manner, You don't ever ask, well, how can I do this? What does it cost to do this? Who do I have to pay to make this happen? How much do I have to pay for that to not be the case, right? And you just, when you ask those questions, and it's not even bribery most of the time, it's just, what do I need to do? That's like rich people get in trouble and they never get in trouble because you can always donate to somebody's campaign, or you can donate to some kids, some
charity
ball team, or you can buy all the, hey, I'll re-turf the whole field, right? Can we just do this other way?
That was, I think it's Ice Cube did the same thing that the girl from Full House did. She went to jail for. She paid to get her kid into college, but he did it by donating a wing to the school.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, of which the school pays no fucking taxes. Like college, man, you want to make money. Fucking, you want a license to steal. Start a fucking educational facility.
Yeah, those endowments are ridiculous.
Yes, and the investments are non-taxable. Everything, man. They make money fucking 10 different ways. But we would be in prison over it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say about you can imagine what you can do without any codes and stuff. You could also just get away with a lot of stuff if you stop talking about it. Like, there's so many people on like Facebook neighborhood groups asking about chickens and stuff like that. Just do it and don't say anything. Yeah. And nobody will know it's
because happening. The people you consider to be friends, because we use that word so loosely now, are busy policing each other. The person that told on you is somebody that you perceive to be a friend. The person sending you emails anonymously with a fake name and fake account, it's always somebody you know. That's why they're not using an account. That's why they're using a fake name. That's always how it is. So Bob Lester, I know you guys live the life you want, but I think I heard Amanda say she's never been swimming in blue water. Would you guys consider an SOE group cruise to the Caribbean? Set it up for a year from now and get a couple hundred of the SOE family together in the Caribbean.
I don't know that I want to go on a cruise. Like, I could fly in a plane and go there, but I don't know about a cruise. And I've never swam in anything other than the water at San Diego. And I drowned like 3 or 4 times, so I stopped going in the ocean.
So should we check the maybe box, or is that a solid no?
You want to go on a Caribbean cruise? Let's go.
I don't know that I want to go with 200 fucking other people.
Well, I think there's companies that will set up a themed cruise for you, and it's huge money. Like, you can make a lot of money if you can sell a cruise ship out.
Yeah, Dr. Barry does the keto cruise thing.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Somebody's making fat money off of that. Yeah. He's a speaker. Yeah, I mean, we could do that.
You're stuck on a boat with everybody.
Well, and see, that's kind of so. I never really thought about it until COVID started, and they're talking.
Got trapped there.
And they're talking like you're stuck on a boat for months outside of some other country, and like you are reliant on other people delivering things to you. Yeah. That just sounds like a terrible idea.
Okay, but if Bob's asking, I'm sure he knows something about it. Let's discuss this, Bob. What can we turn this into? What does this look like? Where do we depart from? Where are we going? How long are we gone for? That's the big questions. Let's discuss that. I don't know anything about it.
Usually, like, it's Florida, Southern California,
or Texas.
Yeah, or I think sometimes they go out of Washington if they're going up to Alaska.
Yeah,
which is something you might be interested in because you want to go to Alaska.
So they're running. They rebuilt Queen Mary 2. I thought they just built another Titanic. But the Queen Mary 2, it'll run runs Florida to, they do Atlantic, transatlantic, and they come into Florida from UK or whatever. Yeah. And then you can do a short one from Florida to Los Angeles, and then they do a Los Angeles to Alaska.
See, that would be fun, but I feel like the Titanic, even though it was supposed to be this huge ship, it's too small to go over the Atlantic Ocean for me. Like, I feel like it'll still be
the Titanic.
Around. Yeah, it's not as big as you think.
It's considerably smaller than like the cruise ships.
Yeah, it's fucking bigger than the Queen Mary.
Well, that was a small ship too.
And they're running the Queen Mary actually did record speed, broke the transatlantic.
It's because it's small.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just cut through. No, I mean, I think it could handle it. I wouldn't like being on that little boat like that. You know?
So those two boats are pretty luxury. Like, you can do it inexpensively, but the nice suites are like $25,000.
Yeah, we stayed at the actual Queen Mary because
we did
lived
too.
Right there, a few times, and it's cool. but like it's.
By the time we got there, it was super fucking raggedy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
The restaurant
like,
was shit.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let you just go around the ship. We just watched a big show on it. Like it's apparently fucking sinking. It needs millions.
Oh, really?
Disney bought the property. It needs $80 million right away just to fucking
worth of repairs.
That seems like somebody's inflating that because you
Maybe.
can build a new one for that.
Maybe can you?
Well, I don't know.
I mean,
actually.
they're actually destroying ships faster than they're building them at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's watch some YouTube videos on.
We had the mothball fleet out of Benicia in the Bay Area, and you would see they used to be lined up everywhere, and then before you know it, they were gone because they would just sink them after a while.
We send them to India.
Yeah,
they go to India and different places. There's a lot of urban exploration guys doing ships and stuff. Nick Boulay. I totally agree with the last video advice on getting your kids into combat sports. My 7-year-old is a jiu-jitsu kickboxing, partially because I don't want him growing up without getting smacked around at least a few times and learning to deal with it. I'm only 32, but growing up, after school playground scuffles were just a thing, not so much anymore. How did having a kids change your approach to life? Daily things, longer-term goals, work-related, etc. I don't think it really changed anything for me. My kids were here, and then when Amanda and I got together, the kids were here. I'm sure there's some things now that we would do differently.
Certainly.
But most of that, I think, has to do with public school. Like
that's what I was
any
going to
problem
say.
We had with the kids came from public school.
Every problem we had with the kids came from the influence of other kids at public school.
And most of it was like pussification kind of shit.
Yeah,
I mean,
stupid shit.
Even the teachers in the school system are a bunch of little fucking pussies. Like literally pussies. Yes. That's a long story. I mean, I've got some video. I wish I could find those videos. I've looked for them a couple times when we actually had to go and talk to the school board.
See, for me, like we don't have to do that because we're homeschooling, but Annie knows to like try to make sure I don't say anything because once I do, everybody's leaving crying.
Well, I had to have the kids leave because I didn't want them to hear what I was going to say because I didn't want them to realize that the adults had no power over them. Like they'll say all these things, but in the end, we did exactly what I said we were going to do. Exactly what I said was going to happen what happened. Yep. So, yeah, that's the only thing I would really change. Other than that, it didn't keep us from doing anything. We always went and did whatever we wanted to do. The kids were always there. Yep. When we went to dinner, they were there. When we were invited, I'm like, yes, I will come. My wife and 3 kids are coming. Is that okay? If it's not, I'm not coming. That's just how we did things. We didn't ever have a babysitter for the 18 years that our kids were growing up. While kids were with us, we never once left our kids with a babysitter ever. We went and saw the movies we wanted to see. We went and had the dinners we wanted to see. When we were at Nobu, the kids were all sitting there. Yep. We went to Vegas, the kids were there. When we went to SHOT Show, the kids were there. When we went to Blade Show, the kids were there. If the kids couldn't go, we didn't go.
Correct. And on that note, our children were so well behaved that when we went to restaurants, people would come over and they would compliment us on how well behaved our children were and that they had no idea that there were children even in the restaurant, let alone that there was going to be some bad behavior. Our children were always polite. They were always well-spoken. They could order for themselves. They knew how to, use all the accoutrement on the table. They knew how to eat food quietly, talk in turn. Nobody had any drama at the dinner table. And, we really, I pride myself in our children having been so well behaved when we were out in public.
Yeah, people would always walk up and they're like, your kids are so well behaved. I'm like, because we hit them so hard. And some people would be taken aback, some would laugh, some were like, yeah, that's how my parents were. But like my kids never acted a fool. fucking ever. My kids were never the motherfucker running around in Walmart knocking displays over. My kids there was never a tantrum. Like, none of that shit. Fucking ever.
Yeah, I think that's probably because you have a higher standard, because I'm that way.
Yes, absolutely.
When they start doing something that I consider to be wrong, most people are like, "Oh, they're not doing anything wrong. They're so well behaved." No, it's wrong for me.
Right.
They need to stop.
Right.
That's right.
And because I know that's going to progress into something terrible.
Yeah, Amanda's been standing in Walmart. We had an employee, I think. We had an employee working here. We had an excavator, and we were trenching out the culvert inside the fence line before the fence was there. And she had some little hellions out in her car, and they literally filled the fucking floorboard and seat of her car with that red Camden clay and rocks and shit.
Yes.
And
That's
like
ridiculous.
she just like
She
sitting
didn't
there.
even
The
seem
kids,
to
we
care.
came out and the kids were jumping on the hood of the car.
It was insane.
And then I don't remember who it was. Somebody came tear-assing around in Walmart, somebody's kid, and knocked a whole fucking display of like soup cans or soda cans down. Like that shit, that was never even a fathomable option.
Exactly.
We would go when we go to restaurants, like, and we didn't give our kids tablets.
Hell
they
no.
didn't get
we
fucking
don't do
any
that.
of that shit.
Yeah.
No, our kids didn't even have cell phones.
We're gonna sit. We're gonna have a conversation, and you're gonna be part of the fucking conversation. If you don't want to do that, you can, color on the fucking whatever they have, on the table cover or whatever. But most places we went, they didn't have fucking crayons and shit for your kids. Like our kids we had a conversation. We just talked.
And that's one of the things I was going to say. By holding your children to a higher standard, they are going to raise themselves up to that standard. They're going to, fulfill that. And we always spoke to our children like adults. So I'm going to have a conversation with my 5-year-old the same way I'm going to have a conversation with you. Now, I understand that they're not going to understand everything in the same way an adult does, but we're not baby talking, and we're not, using silly words and that kind of thing. Like, we're going to speak to you like an adult because you need to be able to have conversations like an adult.
Absolutely.
And I really feel like that was very beneficial to our children because they could behave like adults when
Like
they were in that setting.
If you can't be in a restaurant for 90 minutes or 2 hours and your kids fucking behave, just imagine what they're doing when your eyes are not on them, right? Exactly. If they can't sit there while there is the most accountability, then what do you think's happening when there is not accountability?
Right.
And then, like, even as Cody got older, even up to at like age 13 or so, when somebody was in and we're talking business, I'm like, come in here, I want you to hear this.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, we'd have a conversation about it. What do you think about this? And then as he got older, I'm like, what do you think about this? What's your take on this?
That's actually something I've been thinking about lately, because that's something that I have to look forward to. Is I'm excited to expose these kids to stuff that they, like, if I wasn't their dad, they wouldn't have ever experienced this, and it's like adult stuff, like I mean, even simple stuff like movies that probably their peers aren't watching because their parents won't let them or whatever. Because I know they're mature enough, not right now, but they're going to be more mature than their age group because they already are.
Right.
So I'm excited to show them the stuff and show them a different way of looking at the world. And
well, even right now, like we were talking earlier, you and I and Brandel, and I said, when you have kids, the school system doesn't teach kids about taxes. They don't teach them about balancing a checkbook. They don't teach them about finance. They don't teach them anything, right?
It's no longer life skills. It's just how to pass a test.
Yeah, they don't teach you how to mend clothing. They don't teach you how to bake. Like, I had all that in home ec, right?
Yeah.
So pay your kid an allowance. Make them do chores that they get paid for. Pay them, and then make them put 10% into an account, right?
Yeah.
And then make them pay tax, right? Okay, you have to pay this much for your rent, right? And let them maneuver those numbers. And you can take that money and put it in another fucking jar that they can see, and they can watch it accumulate, right? And then we can negotiate. Okay, you want this thing. Let's go look at it. Okay, we're not going to buy it. Let's wait till next week. And if next week you still want it, this is your money. You can spend it, and teach them And in a week or so, they're going to want something else that probably costs more, right? So let's save for that rather than buying this thing that you're going to lose or it's going to break or you're going to lose interest in. But that's not what we teach kids in school. They don't teach them any of those things.
No. And they also don't teach you that whatever this thing is that you want to go buy, like how many hours of chores did it take you to earn the money to buy this thing? And if you can do that, people will think, is this thing worth all that time I spent, or should I save some more so I can get this thing instead?
Exactly.
You can trade your time for money, or your money can make money. And until you have a larger mass of money, the money doesn't make money. And if you can teach them that at a young age and tax them, let them understand taxes, and then let's show them tax avoidance, right? Not diversion, but avoidance. How can I have this money? If I put it in this other thing here, I can still see it. I still have it. I can still add to it, but I don't have to pay any tax on it. So why don't we put it there and let it accumulate, and then we can move it into a different vehicle at some point and still not pay taxes on it, right? But we don't teach kids that at all.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think that might be, because it doesn't get talked about like the programming, but I think that might be part of the programming, because
it's absolutely part of the programming.
So ignorant to the way money works.
Absolutely.
That, like, I'm surprised that
and your mainstream
living,
mainstream teachers don't fucking know it either.
Yeah.
Well, go to the local, even middle school, and ask the kids where their chicken nuggets come from.
Yeah.
They're gonna say the freezer.
Yeah, your
the,
chicken.
the grocery store.
It's not even chicken anymore. They're just called nuggets.
Yeah, well, we were talking about that too, because there's not enough chicken.
There's no fucking chicken in them.
Yeah.
The most ingredient in the nuggets at McDonald's is rapeseed oil. Look that up. What the fuck is rape?
Highly
It's what they make yoga mats out of. Stop and think about that. The shit on the yoga mat is what your fucking nugget that you're feeding your kids is made of. My kids won't eat, whatever. They only eat chicken. It's because the little motherfuckers ain't been hungry. It's because you created that shit. You allowed that shit.
We have that going on because Annie is like the loving mother. Like we were talking about last week, I've never picked a kid up when they fell. I'm always just, if you're okay, get up. If you're not okay, that means we have to go to the hospital. So you tell me right now, can you get up or do you want to go to the hospital?
Yeah, are you bleeding?
Exactly.
Are you broken? If not, you're done.
But she'll run over, and we used to fight about that when they were babies. I was like, let them get up, and then she would let them. But now it's if they don't eat if I don't give them what they want to eat for dinner, then they're not going to eat, and then what?
Let them go hungry
tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
and kids. You can give them what you feed. Like you choose what you're going to feed them tomorrow morning, and they'll probably eat it.
Your kids.
She's the adult.
Yeah,
not them.
Exactly.
Your kids should be in martial arts, and your kids should be in tumbling. Probably prior to that.
They were into that.
And there's a huge gymnastics place right next to Blue Moon Antique Mall. It's connected right there by the Starbucks. Take them kids over there and go in and see what that's about. I don't know what it's about, but I see all these kids coming in and out of there. So it's going to be gymnastics, tumbling, stuff like that.
I was like, I don't know where you're talking about.
That'd be great for them to be doing.
Yeah, so they were in that in California, but we haven't gotten into them.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah. No, you're right. Absolutely. They need to get into it now.
Yeah. That's more than half their life.
Trying to tear us down, but